Hi, welcome to today's session on things nonprofits need to think about. Joining me today is Cy Alford, and we're going to be talking about insurance. And like with all of our sessions like this, we are lawyers, but we're not necessarily your lawyers. And so what we're providing today is not legal advice. It is just general information. And if there's anything you hear that you think you need to act on, you need to engage your own nonprofit legal counsel to help you with that. So let's get started today. We're going to be talking about insurance. Premiums are going up. Insurance companies for nonprofits, one of the big ones just got downgraded a little earlier this year. We have insurance companies that are pulling out of states where building costs have risen. And so due to storms or other reasons. And so we really have a situation on our hands where nonprofits are kind of at a loss as to what to do for insurance. So, Cy, tell us some things that we've learned from nonprofits as they've looked around for insurance.
Yeah, generally speaking, right now, with where the market's landing, it's better to renew whatever policy you have with your current insurance broker. The reason for that is on the open market right now, just like John was describing earlier, the prices are just going through the roof. And so insurance companies can kind of set those prices or where they see fit, where they feel like they're going to be in the black or where they're going to make money. And so it's going to be pretty astronomical to try to find a new policy as opposed to just renewing. Some states have, some notice requirements that require insurance companies to let you know when you're renewing how much that's going to go up by and when it's going to take effect. So it's usually a great planning mechanism to just continue to go forward with a renewal year to year. And that usually is the best that we've seen for our clients right now.
Yeah, and we're not saying that we've never seen clients go out and shop and get better deals. We have. We're just saying as a trend, the employees when they go out and shop for new insurance right now, they're coming back fairly disappointed. Um, so there's a few different types of coverage that nonprofits need to be made aware of. And this is a big question that we get when nonprofits kind of get established and they walk out the door of our office and they're going off to the world to do their good work. They ask us, hey, what kind of insurance that we need? And it's usually not as simple as just saying, oh, just get general liability, have a great day. There's usually a few different types of insurance. And we're going to highlight a couple of them, but I want to go through a list here. Some of them you may not have heard about. Certainly, general liability insurance is one, property insurance, automobile, workers' compensation, umbrella and excess insurance, professional liability if you have any counselors or educators or lawyers or medical personnel. Cyber insurance is one we're going to talk about. Directors and officers liability, employment practices liability, fiduciary, usually that's a rider to your directors and officers liability, criminal or crime insurance, workplace violence, volunteer accident, and foreign travel. If you're going overseas, taking volunteers, that's something you need to take a look at. There's two we kind of want to highlight. Cy, do you mind talking about employment practices liability for a moment?
Yeah, when it comes to employment, your employees are normally your biggest asset, but they can also typically be your biggest liability. And the reason for that is in the current cultural climate right now, there's everybody's heard of discrimination or harassment, and those things still apply in nonprofit spaces as well. They're not just the big for-profit companies that we hear about in the news every day. So those big words come up, and usually what that means is if somebody experiences harassment or any form of discrimination that is illegal under the law, then they can file an EEOC claim, and you can be drawn into this really long, drawn-out process. And so the employment practices liability insurance is a great idea. Usually, we recommend for organizations to have it if they have 50 or more employees. You increase your risk the more employees that you add. So
Yeah.
there's really no hard and fast line there, but it definitely is a recommendation that we make. And what it's going to do for you is just going to give you a little bit of a safety net. If something does happen, then you're going to be able to rely on that coverage to be able to get you through any litigation. Be sure to read the policy, understand if there's a deductible amount, that you can meet that deductible, and then it's not going to be higher than you thought. So
Yeah.
definitely read that policy to ensure you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and employment practices liability insurance is really good to look at no matter how many employees you have. Certainly the larger employees you get, it becomes absolutely necessary. But even starting at 15 employees, federal law starts to take effect, Title VII takes effect, and you open yourself up to these discrimination claims. So we certainly recommend you look at that. The other one we want to highlight is cyber insurance. Often we're seeing, kind of free cyber insurance along with your policy, maybe $50,000 or $100,000. This is peanuts. If you guys have a serious cyber liability problem and all of a sudden you've lost all the data on your donors, you've lost data on history of giving, financial reports, that $50,000 or $100,000 is probably not going to cut it. And so the insurance company will also be able to come in and offer guidance on how to move forward and what you should do to kind of rectify the situation. So cyber insurance is something we really, really recommend, especially if you're a nonprofit that has a lot of data online and in the cloud. So the next thing we want to talk about is making a claim with your insurance. If you do have insurance, you need to make a claim. There's some things you need to know. One, don't sit on it. If there are facts that give rise to a potential claim, you need to make a claim with your insurance or put them on notice ASAP. Doesn't mean that there will be legal action, but they need to know. If you notify a lawyer about a situation that's happened, a slip and fall, an employment situation, their response needs to be, hey, let's look at your insurance policy and make sure that we're making all the right notifications. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on the insurance wanting to cover that. And it's not just covering it from a financial point of view. There could be a high deductible where you end up paying all of it. They're also going to help you find local counsel if there's an out-of-state situation. So things like that. And so we do recommend that you really seriously consider notifying your insurance as a claim. If you are not going to notify your insurance due to a claim because you think you can handle it, that is a decision that needs to be heavily evaluated, probably by the board and by your legal counsel. Next, who do you make the claim to? You don't make it to your broker. You don't make it to the guy that sold you the insurance, as trusted as they are. Even if they say they'll take care of it, you will make it directly to the insurer, the policy insurer. And so that's very, very important. We have had very many disappointed clients because notice wasn't given to the right person and the insurance didn't cover it. So read that policy. Finally, two other legal points. Your insurance will likely choose your legal counsel for a claim. That's great. That's a good thing. But unless you have language in your policy that says you have a right to choose your counsel. So if you do have counsel that you like working with, litigation counsel that can help you, you need to make sure that that language is in your policy, that they have approved that counsel and they're willing to use them, the insurance company, that is. The next is going to be the consent to settle. When you sign up for an insurance policy and they're going to provide you legal protection, they are going to have a right to settle. And there are some times when clients have felt that they didn't want to settle and the insurance company made that decision for them. So that's something you need to be aware of going into any type of situation, because that settling can come back to haunt the nonprofit sometimes. It can be really great. It can be wonderful, but it can also come back on the nonprofit when the public begins asking, hey, if you didn't do anything wrong, why did you settle this? Well, that's because the insurance did it and it's a numbers game where they're trying to evaluate costs. So there's a few other things that you need to be aware of when you are getting insurance policies. There are some things that you need to do. Cy, tell us about a couple of those things that you need to make sure that you're doing.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that insurance companies will often require is you need to have policies and procedures in place for how your organization operates. And you need to follow those procedures, whatever you've set in place. So the policies need to be customized to fit your specific needs. Too often we have clients come into our office and they've copied something off the internet that was a completely different organization to theirs, and the nuts and bolts there. But when it comes to your actual needs and what you actually do on the day-to-day basis, if the policy doesn't fit that, then that's going to be an issue. That's going to be a problem. The insurance company could take issue with it. It could be Exhibit A in trial. It could be a not fun experience. So, a couple of examples of policies that insurance companies like to see: background checks. If you have lots of volunteers or you're doing big events, background checks are important. Volunteer training, that's a big deal. You want to make sure your volunteers are adequately trained for the activities that you're going to be having. And then any kind of additional policies that particularly fit your needs. You're going to want to have those in place, and you're going to want to follow them so that that can be more or better evidence for you if you do get into a situation.
No, and that's a great point. And we really encourage you, don't just download policies off the internet. I can't tell you how many nonprofits have done that where I begin looking at their policies only to find out that they were hospital policies with things like HIPAA, or they, had swimming pool policies then when they didn't have a swimming pool because they just downloaded a bank of policies from a nonprofit camp. And so these are things that can be awkward, especially if you're being cross-examined on your policies. Oh, it says here you follow HIPAA and you're a summer camp. Well, of course, we don't follow HIPAA. And so this is really something that you need to pay close attention to. We also encourage you to review those every year to make sure that you are complying with your own policies. That's it for this. We hope you enjoyed this little session on insurance. If you have questions, you can reach out to through our website at thenonprofitteam.com. We hope you have a great day.